breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression. It's out for liberty. Breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts. We're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land.
I hate this show. Oh my goodness.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Are You Smarter Than a Politician? This is your gateway drug to liberty. Tonight, we're asking a question that may define the future of freedom. Can you still live free in a world that watches everything? Three heavy hitters in the liberty movement join us to debate surveillance, AI, parallel systems, cryptocurrency, localism, and whether building alternatives is more powerful than politics itself. Is the future centralized and controlled, or can we still opt out? So get ready, because tonight you decide who is smarter than a politician. Joining us tonight, we lost Aaron. Where did Aaron go? Hopefully he's coming back. I hope it wasn't the NSA. Joining us tonight, Sal Mayweather's back, a former champion. He is the host of the Subversive Spectrum, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. He's the author of a bunch of books, 3 books that changed the world. His merch is available at agorathreads.com, and on X, you can find him at Sally Mayweather. How are you tonight, Sal?
What's up, my friends? How are you? I'm glad to be back as the reigning champion, and I'm really looking forward to defeating Joel and Aaron.
Awesome, man. Tell us what you've been up to.
Oh man, so much. You mentioned Freedom Fest. I think I might be headed to Freedom Fest as well. We rebranded the show. It's not the Subversive Spectrum anymore. It's the Sal and Mark show, and I co-host it with Mark Edge from Free Talk Live fame. And we've been focusing on that and having a good time with it. A lot of traveling, and we got some big plans coming up for like the next, I would say probably around fall. We're gonna have some pretty big announcements, which I'm excited about. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the new show. I didn't know if you changed the name, so I apologize for that. But yeah, it's been great, man. Awesome. Thanks for doing this, and great to have you back. Here's Aaron. Welcome back, Aaron. Also joining us tonight, Joel Valenzuela. He is the host of Digital Cash Network. He's also a returning champion. His website is decenter.net. That's DECENTR.net. He is a mover in the Free State Project, and you can follow him on X at Desert Links, as well as at Digital Cash Net. How are you tonight, Joel?
I'm doing fine. I mean, the Free State Project, is that a topical joke about the Hormuz thing? It's Free State Project, of course. But yeah, I'm doing great, and thanks for having me on. I believe it's the 3rd time. I might be one of the most serial losers on the show, but I'm fine with that because liberty always wins.
No, did I say straight? I didn't.
Yes.
I must.
You said a lot of stuff, but we'll pass over that for now.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. I appreciate the grace on that. So, all right, I'm going to try to read the words that are actually on the screen, and apparently that's a struggle. But last but not least, Aaron Day. He is the host of the Aaron Day Show. That's on Thursdays streaming. You can find him at the Aaron Day Show, also at Aaron R. Day. He's the busiest guy in the liberty movement. He's got all these websites. We picked out a couple. Daylight Freedom Foundation, they just launched a phone. It's really awesome. That's daylightfreedom.org. And if you haven't gone to ditchthedollar.com, do so now. It's a really great tutorial about how to ditch the dollar and some other cool stuff on there. How are you doing, Aaron?
Doing well, thank you.
What have you been up to?
Everything. Launching a phone, as you said, doing all these websites, running for U.S. Senate, or at least trying to get some crypto prisoners free. It's been a busy year.
Tell us about the Senate run. That you just did a podcast about that last night. It was really interesting.
Yeah, so I'm running as an independent, and the idea here is to use the leverage of a third-party race to try to actually get some accountability out of the administration. And I've listed on my website kind of 4 demands, but one of them is free the crypto prisoners, fire Howard Lutnick, kill the Clarity Act, and end the draft. And, I have a history of doing this. I did this 10 years ago and cost the incumbent the seat at that time. And it was the most expensive U.S. Senate race per capita in the history of the United States. And so this is one thing that a third party can be useful for. A third party is not going to win, but a third party can be used strategically to try to hold folks accountable. They're trying to keep me off of the ballot. The Secretary of State is. But I don't think that will be successful. I have a ballot law commission hearing on Monday, and I filed a lawsuit in federal court. And so, but let's say it'll be pretty amusing here over the next couple of weeks.
That's awesome, man. I want to go back to Joel, too. I forgot to ask you what you're doing and plug your show, please. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot. The full-time day job is for working for Dash, the cryptocurrency. And so I've been just pushing digital cash adoption wherever I can. Been all over the world the last 6-7 weeks or so. And yeah, just run my weekly podcast on the side as well. Just we're getting really close to full wide-scale adoption of digital cash, and hopefully in decentralized ways. I'm doing my best towards that. And we're getting very close. I'm very excited.
Awesome, man. Last but not least, our lovely producer, Terry Batts. How are you tonight, Terry?
I'm excited and ready to go because all of this cryptocurrency stuff is really my strong point. Don't laugh, guys. Stop, Sal. I can see you. Okay.
It's more than crypto, Terry. We're covering a lot more than crypto. Don't scare people away. We're talking about freedom tonight, Terry.
Oh. I must have read it wrong. I'm sorry. Let's go, chat. Let's have some fun. Come on, guys.
Awesome.
Teach us.
All right. And tonight's show is sponsored by Xano. Tired of surveillance coins dressed up as freedom tech? Xano's the real deal. Open source, enterprise-grade privacy, scalable and secure. Build, spend, and tokenize any asset without the peeping eyes. Xano isn't just private. It's none of their business. And if you're new to this space, visit intro.xano.org to learn how Xano gives you the power to own your own data, your money, and your assets all in one simple, secure platform built for real-world freedom. And I just want to point out one more time, you can also go to ditchthedollar.com, and they have a great tutorial about how to start using Xano, how to get your money in there, how to transfer other assets into Xano. It's really great. So I wanted to shout that out. Thank you to all of our subscribers for supporting the show. You can subscribe to us on X. If you want to sponsor the show, go to studio@freedomuncut.com. And Sal just mentioned Freedom Fest, where we will be doing our show live on Friday. We will be there July 8th through 11th. Go to freedomfest.com. Use the discount code SPIKE100. You get $100 off, and You Are the Power gets credit for your registration. And we will also be at the Midwest Peace and Liberty Festival, August 6th through 9th in Lake Satoshi, Michigan. That's mplfest.org. Really looking forward to that. Let's jump in the chat real quick here and see what's going on. Matt's here. What's up, Matt? Chris is here, a subscriber. What's up, Chris? Oddsman's here. Awesome. 200 to Sal for not really having an afro and for putting up with this joke for the 100th time. Yeah, that's an oldie but a goodie, Chris. Shirley, a subscriber joining us from across the pond. What's going on, Shirley? Waz is here. What's up, buddy? And Nomi, another subscriber's here. What's up, bud? All right, let's jump into it here. Welcome again, everybody. Please share this out. Help bust the algorithm. Help get these great voices out there. I am on X at Smarter Game Show. Terry is Bats T76, helping behind the scenes, Amity Lee 13, and the host of the They Both Suck podcast, my buddy Casey at American vs. Gov. You can get our swag at freedomsuperstore.com. We have shirts and mugs. I am wearing the Make Anarchy Great Again shirt, and you can get that there. Our shorts will be up on YouTube at Freedom Uncut. We're also on Rumble. All right, so let's get into the prizes. Since Trump ruined peace prizes, we made our own. The grand prize tonight is the Are You Smarter Than a Peace Prize. We also have Mike Johnson's signature cologne, Swamp Ass, as well as the Ayn Rand Fountainhead teddy bear. We have an assortment of libertarian bobbleheads. We just added this. This is all of the religious books created by Trump about Trump. We have the Trump Torah, the Trump Bible, and my buddy Travis from the Great Object podcast had me add the Trump Mahabharata, so that's on there as well. We also have the crypto hodl chest. So when you want to hold on to it for dear life, you can lock it up in there. We also have the Rock'em Sock'em robot boxing match between gold and crypto. We have the District of Corruption board game. We also have the revolving door around the Strait of Hormuz. It might be open, might be closed, you never know. And we have the UFC White House set, but because it's from the government, of course, the figures are sold separately so that you don't get the figures for that. We have the Peace Talk smoke machine and the Federal Reserve Magic 8-Ball. You can shake it as many times as you want, but it always says print more money. And of course, we have the Trump Nativity set. Even though it's almost July, nobody's taking this piece of crap and we paid a tariff for it. So you might want to take that off my hands. And of course, the Lego Killdozer, because nobody talks about the Killdozer more than me and Casey do. Here are the rules. I am the government. Whatever I say goes. Scoring errors count. Life isn't fair. Suck it up, Buttercup. Nobody cares. Here's how scoring works. The chat controls the score. So you in the chat, if you're new here, you can give or take up to 100 points from contestants. Give us a reason why. Don't give us a reason why. And because I'm the government and I believe in crony capitalism, subscribers can give or take up to 200 points because they pay me, so they matter more. Nuking a score. Any former contestant can nuke a score, taking it down by 1,000 points. The twist is a contestant can only be nuked one time, and it has to be for a good reason. All right, lightning round. Let's get it started. I will put Terry in the back. She controls the score in the chat. Make her life extremely difficult. Thank you, Terry. All right, Sal, first question of the night is to you. Category is big picture questions. Is freedom declining in America? You're muted.
That's a really interesting question. It's sort of a double-edged sword. Some ways it is, but in a lot of ways it isn't. So, like, I don't know, every push that the state makes, we push back, and I think at the end of the day, the market will always win. So I remain optimistic that freedom is on the rise.
I like it. All right, we'll start off with a little optimism. That's cool. All right, Joel, to you, your question is, has technology increased convenience at the expense of liberty?
The answer to that is yes, but also the opposite. There definitely was what I would call the Web 2 era, which is basically like 10 years ago, kind of culminating around immediately following the Snowden disclosures, where convenience always meant the expense of liberty. Now, technology is really enabling some really cool things that you never could do before. Freedom Tech has never been on a better place than it is today. So it's definitely like both ways. Like you can be in a completely like dark, de-Googled phone, like I'll run everything locally, use only anonymous of online currency, all that stuff. You could do that today better than you ever have been able to before. But then we're also in the age of flock cameras everywhere, spying your every move and your face scanned everywhere.
I know somebody that's got a badass de-Googled phone, by the way. Oh, it's Aaron Day, and he gets the next question. Yeah. Oh, excellent. All right. So, Aaron, to you, is reclaiming local control the key challenge of our time?
It is, if you define local as being individual. The actual control that we need to reclaim is acknowledging that our rights don't come from government in any form. And we need to reclaim our thoughts. We need to reclaim our mind, and we need to reclaim our attention and our free will. So in that sense, I think that's the most important aspect of it. I get a little bit concerned. Well, it's a fast. I'll leave it with that. I could go on for probably an hour or two, but we'll leave it at that.
All right. Excellent. All right, Sal, back to you. The category is the power of unelected experts. Is technocracy replacing democracy?
No. These people are the opposite of experts. They can't even write a budget. These are the most incompetent people alive. They're the opposite of experts. If they were experts, things would be running smoothly. No, I don't think it is. Unfortunately, we're still stuck in this democratic shithole like kind of situation where we're like with this tyranny of the majority just lording over us. No, these aren't experts. They're pedophiles and cockroaches.
All right. And we're on the board. If we're still on YouTube, you can join us on X if we get kicked off again. No, I love it. All right, Joel, to you. Should expert opinion outweigh voter preferences?
I would say no, but also what should outweigh voter preferences is stake in the game. A lot of people vote because they exist and not because they contribute something to the process. Ideally, what I would have is ideally there would be a society with no government. But if we can't do that, ideally there would be a society where people can vote proportional to what they contribute to government. So kind of like the higher your contribution, the more you get to vote according to that, as long as it isn't in the realm of individual liberties, in which case then one person, one vote. But in the expertise, if you have expert as a thing, you have to define it, and always someone defining it is kind of an asshole. So don't trust the experts.
I agree. Awesome. All right, Aaron, to you. Are experts insulated from the consequences of their decisions?
Well, apparently so. Particularly if you look at the COVID situation, no one's actually been held accountable there. And despite whatever the dump was at the end of Tulsi Gabbard's thing, it was after the statute of limitations had expired, and Fauci has also been pardoned. And I highly, highly doubt anything is going to come of any of that. And so I'm unfamiliar with any of these experts actually being held accountable for their atrocities.
Yeah, I think the next time it happens, it'll be the first. So I agree with that. All right, Sal, back to you. The category is voluntarism. Can communities solve most problems without government intervention?
I think that's the only way to solve the problems, because the problem is the government. So when they intervene, they cause these distortions in the market, and only voluntarism can fix that.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. I like it. All right, Joel, to you. Are voluntary institutions more accountable than government institutions?
Yes, absolutely. And that's quite the softball question. But yes, because anytime you can just defund them. Like imagine if you were unsatisfied with what government was doing, you just stop paying taxes. Just stop. If it's so much easier than trying to get a vote together to oust someone. And government would be super sensitive once the revenue stopped coming in from that. And that's what a voluntary institution is. If your coffee shop sucks, people don't pay for it and they leave and it goes under. So they are very sensitive to that. Make government compete on the same plane as your local hot dog stand.
I like that. Or turn the government into a hot dog stand. I'd be in favor of that as well. So
Glizzy
right.
government.
Yeah. All right. Aaron, to you. Can a society built on voluntary relationships thrive?
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the only type of society that actually can thrive. Everything else kind of based on coercion and force ends up devolving over time.
Excellent. All right. Sal, back to you. The category is artificial intelligence and information control. Should AI companies control what information people see?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. So I think there should be a whole marketplace of AI companies with different offerings. And if they want to offer people different information, I think they should be able to. I think that that's really the best way to let the whole AI market play out. You might have an AI like a chat GPT one day just for medical stuff or, just for another topic. So I don't think they should have total control over what information you see, but I do think that they should be able to provide their customers with different offerings.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Joel, to you. Is AI more opportunity than threat?
I would probably say it's like 70% opportunity, 30% threat. For the most part, it absolutely democratizes the access to the highest levels of knowledge, competence, etc., for a minimum amount of resources. So it's overwhelmingly a positive, constructive thing. It also is becoming frighteningly centralized. And if it becomes centrally controlled, we're in for some real trouble. So run your local AI models and don't let the big companies take over.
Yeah. I'm also against Bernie Sanders and the government taking over. I think that would be terrible. So, yeah. Yeah, I like it. All right, Aaron, to you. Will AI concentrate power in fewer hands?
Well, it depends on how it's rolled out. I think one of the problems that we have right now, if you look at Trump's policy in this bill that's been put forward by Blackburn in the Senate, it actually gives government top-down control. It gives the Department of Energy the ability to give a go, no-go decision to whether a model can be released. It actually gives Howard Lutnick, as the head of as Commerce Secretary, the ability to shoot down any state laws regarding AI. It gives the FTC control over whether or not an AI model is politically biased. And it removes Section 230, which basically opens up liability for developers, which makes it really difficult for startups to actually be able to create AIs under this proposed kind of regulatory regime.
I definitely agree. And that Blackburn bill is scary for sure. All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. Let's see what's going on in the chat. 200 to Sal for the optimism. You got another 200 for the optimism. I get 100 for being cool. That's the first time ever. 200 to the next contestant reminds everyone to hit the like button.
Hit the like button.
There you go. We'll take it.
Like the hit button.
There you go. Oh, Oddsman's James Ray. Welcome, buddy. 200 to Sal. The problem is the government. 200 to Joel for making the government a hot dog stand. Yeah, I'm in favor of that. Perfect. All right, let's jump into the scores here and see what is going on. People are filing in a little late. Not big scores yet so far. We got Sal with 300, Aaron and Joel both at 100. Let's jump back into it. And keep in mind, guys, too, you can jump in on somebody else's answer if you want to extend it or anything like that. All right, back to it. Sal, to you. Category is public safety versus privacy. Would you allow a flock camera directly outside your home?
Well, I mean, of course, I would never do anything bad to a flock camera, like chop it down and sell it for scrap metal, because there's like 2 or 3 pounds of like copper and some trace amounts of sterling silver in there. But I would never do anything like that, especially if it was pointed at my house.
Interesting answer. I don't know why you were vague. That's yeah. All right. So, Joel, to you. Should the federal government be allowed to merge data from tax records, travel records, financial transactions, and social media into united profiles?
No, overwhelmingly no. And I think the government shouldn't have access to any of that stuff. But then again, that's a much longer conversation. I definitely think that the private loophole where private companies get to violate our rights and then sell that data to the government, so the government says, oh, we didn't do it, is something that Edward Snowden really pointed out, and it's something we really have a big problem with today and needs to be stopped and needs to be legislated against, as long as we're doing anything good with legislation.
Yeah, that would be good. All right, Aaron, to you. Should immigration enforcement agencies have access to vast commercial data sets on Americans?
No, they should not, but of course they do. And I mean, you actually asked this as a previous question, I think, to Sal about technocracy. And we do have an acceleration of technocracy in the form of Palantir. And Palantir is now involved in compiling all of this data. They're actually working on building these databases for ICE. And they're now going to be responsible for determining who gets audited by the IRS. So I'm going to merge those two answers.
Yeah. I know you talk a lot about that, so I appreciate you jumping in with that as well. All right, back to you, Sal. Could a future administration weaponize integrated government databases against political opponents? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I think it's already happening. They're already doing this, and I think that's what's happening with Flock. There was just a case like a week ago that I saw where it was like 18 cops have already used Flock data to like track down their exes and shit like that. So I mean, it's already happening on a small scale that we're aware of. Imagine the shit that we're unaware of. God only knows what these people are really up to.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're using it for stalking, license plate readers, and facial
They
recognition.
have them pointed at playgrounds now and on like bike paths. It has nothing to do with license plates at this point. They're just literally tracking us like a herd of cattle.
Did you see the heat map of Atlanta, I think it was, where every single inch of Atlanta you're being tracked, the entire city?
Florida too is really bad. The whole Tampa area that I'm in, like you can't, everywhere we go, there's a Flock camera. I specifically avoid all Lowe's and Home Depots nowadays because they literally have Flock cameras at every entrance and exit to all of their stores.
Yeah, that's important. Like, I don't think people realize that, you know, there's the Flock cameras on the street, but then like the commercial places have them, you know, everywhere in there, like every aisle. Like, I mean, it's crazy.
Either way, they're going to fuck you because then what? Then you're going to go on Amazon and you're going to buy your hardware store shit, and there's going to be a digital record of everything that you do anyway. Or you go to Ace Hardware and you tap and pay, and then there's a digital record. You know what I mean? So no matter what, they've got us tracked like cattle, like a herd of cattle.
Yeah. Aaron, what's that debit card you can use where if you don't want to get tracked?
ZBEC debit card. It has light KYC, but ZBEC card's a very good one.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, and you can tap and pay with that too, I believe, right?
You can tap and pay. You can use Zano. You can use Freedom Dollar and other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, I use it too. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm getting one, so I'm excited about that. So perfect. All right. Back to you, Joel. Is Palantir building the infrastructure for a digital panopticon?
I'm going to say more no than yes, only because yes is sort of the answer, but that's already been built. It's already been maintained. They're kind of a new contractor in the business. They're kind of just the next one that people have paid attention to. But in the past, there was plenty that did the same thing before. And when Palantir's gone, there's going to be another one who does it.
Yeah, that's true. And probably owned by the Trump sons would be my guess. Is the way
not that
that's
smart.
Well, no, owned by, not programmed by.
They're also not that smart.
But programmed by H-1B visas would be my guess. But all right, Aaron, to you. Is mass data analysis a greater long-term threat to liberty than traditional government surveillance?
Absolutely. And I mean, I think, we're already starting to see that. I mean, even again with COVID, I think people aren't aware of how much surveillance infrastructure was put in place, whether it was the censorship industrial complex or even things like contact tracing. So it's now, if you imagine if we had a similar type of event occur, we would actually be in a worse position than we were in 2020 because of what was put in during emergency measures then and then built upon since then with Palantir and then, of course, now digital program backdoor CBDCs through the Genius Act and the Clarity Act, which is a way of tokenizing everything that you own and making that surveillable. So it is a huge threat because it basically allows for the implementation ultimately of social credit systems and the ability to lock and freeze not just the money you use to buy and sell things, but everything that you own.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Sal, back to you. The category is localism. Is buying locally a more effective political act than voting?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, absolutely. Voting is the opposite of effective. Buying locally is great. I mean, I really think that buying in a sort of unregulated fashion is a little bit better. If you can do like in a peer-to-peer way, that's even better. Like if you can use like an actual like peer-to-peer currency that's better, like a cryptocurrency or even silver or gold backs or something would be preferable. But yeah, I mean, anything is more effective than voting, for sure. Voting has the opposite effect. It really just only encourages them, as Carlin said.
Yeah, great Carlin quote. Absolutely. All right, Joel, to you. Is local self-government essential to preserving freedom?
I'm going to say no, be controversial here. I think that self-government, of course, is very important. The best thing is being able to act as in free, non-governing ways. Just act freely, being able to be free. And if you're talking about governing and governance, whatever level that allows you to reduce the size and scope of government is where you should be engaging. I know a lot of places, especially local to me in New Hampshire, the biggest tyrants are in your own town, not at the state level. So local control can sometimes be a honeypot for more control.
Definitely could. All right, Aaron, to you. Can strong local institutions reduce dependence on centralized systems?
I mean, I guess I'm more for. I don't think that we need institutions per se. I mean, when you say institutions, are you referring to governmental institutions or just organizations in general?
Yeah, anything that can replace, centralized systems and including government.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think local government is necessarily better, but I think the absence of government and the opportunity to have voluntary organizations take shape. I think voluntary is actually the key word to throw in there with respect to local institutions. I think that is actually the big differentiator, because if they're, again, local, I think what Joel said is right. And I know we've all experienced this even here in New Hampshire, where it's absolutely true. Local government can be much more tyrannical than state government or even federal government. But if you had voluntary institutions at a local level, that's your preferred outcome.
Can local government be worse
Can it be worse
than
than
federal government?
Absolutely. If you look at the way that school boards are, so I mean, you basically have town councils and you have school boards, and these are highly corruptible organizations because, frankly, most people don't participate in local elections. You have low turnout, and so you have teachers unions that have massive influence and the ability to kind of manipulate the school board. And for many local areas, the public school system is the largest budget item, and in many cases, it's one of the top employers. And so that area is rife for corruption. And then on the town council side as well, that's an area that's very easily hijackable by local developers and others. So absolutely, local can be a disaster.
Yeah, I agree. It could be just as bad, if not worse, for sure. All right. Back to you, Sal. The category is artificial scarcity. Do governments create artificial scarcity through regulation?
Yeah, they can. They can also do the opposite too. They distort the market in a number of ways. So, like, think about like something like traffic, right? Traffic is really just the transportation sector experiencing a shortage, right? So they can create, scarcity in that kind of way, like not in a good way, but then they do the opposite too. Like they make things too abundant, like credit, for example, or money. And then you get this inflation and all the negative stuff that goes along with that. So yeah, they can, but they could. There's nothing that the only thing that they can't do is get it right. The only thing that they can't do is like they try to imitate the market, but they can never be perfect. Only the market knows like what the correct distribution or allocation of resources should be.
Yeah, definitely true. All right, Joel, to you. Is government intervention creating more shortages than it solves?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't even know how much more to go into this, but yeah, wherever there is a shortage, the market provides an incentive, basically just like a free open season of like, hey, figure it out. There's a bounty on solving this shortage, and anything goes to get that. Whereas government just says, no, you can't. And then the shortage stays.
Yeah, that's very true. All right, Aaron, to you. Are intellectual property laws increasingly restricting innovation?
Yes, and they have been for a long time. The intellectual property system that we have in this country is completely fraudulent. And there's one area in particular I want to talk about that most people aren't aware of, which is something called the Invention Secrecy Act, which was passed in, I believe, 1952. But in essence, the government has actually seized over 6,000 patents. A lot of these are in the energy sector and other sectors. But essentially, if you come up with a really innovative idea on the basis of either national or economic security, those patents can actually be suppressed and shelved. And as the inventor, you're not even allowed to speak about them, or you'll be subject to, I believe, 10 to 20 years in prison. And so it's just a massive distortion. It's also a scam. I've actually spent some time at one point earlier, before I kind of woke up to the whole issue on patents. You look at patent trolling and even the way that the entire enforcement works, the prices involved. I could talk about this for a long time, but yeah, it definitely makes things worse, not better.
Yeah, for sure. I just got a message that some people are having problems with the X chat. If you're having problems with the X chat, go to youtube.com/@Freedom Uncut, and you can give scores in the YouTube chat. We're also on Rumble, also at Freedom Uncut. So sorry if you're having problems. Let's jump back into it here. All right. Sal, to you, the category is cryptocurrency. Of course, this is brought to us by our friends at Xano. All four of us on the panel, huge fans of Xano, so we appreciate them sponsoring us. Sal, the question is cryptocurrency a necessary check on government monetary power?
100%. I couldn't. Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, like, we have sound monetary alternatives to the dollar that aren't cryptocurrency, like gold and silver. But the problem is, and as history shows, those commodities are confiscable. So if it ever comes down to it, the government will just send men with guns to your door and steal it from you. With cryptocurrency, we remove that ability. It's no longer confiscable. And that's especially true if you use like a privacy coin like Xano or Firo or Freedom Dollar or something like that. Pirate Chain, Monero, PivX, Dash. So I think, yeah, it is the most important. It's the most potent tool in the agorist toolbox, so to speak.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't want them to know anything I own and how much ammo I bought for it. So that's my take on that. Yeah. Oh, did you ever 3D print a gun? I wanted to ask you that. You were going to do it live.
Oh no, we didn't. We never actually did it live, but I do have I have a whole box of them somewhere, and every now and then I'll bring them out and I'll take my real Glock and hold it up, and you can actually see it's the exact same fucking piece,
Maybe if you've got it handy, maybe do that at the end because we'll get kicked off of YouTube for that. But
yeah, for sure.
I don't know if you heard the story. We got kicked off. We did a huge fundraiser for You Are the Power, and we got kicked off of YouTube right at the beginning because Adam Johnson, the lectern guy, also local by you, pulled out a gold AK at the beginning, before all these big names came on, like Nick Nemeth, the professional wrestler and stuff. We got kicked off of YouTube, and people were scrambling, where'd you go? Which YouTube is weird. It's it's crazy. So no, but if you ever do that.
We streamed the Subversive Spectrum to YouTube, and we got kicked off in about, I think it was 3 minutes, record timing, because the first topic was vaccines. So as soon as we just started a YouTube channel, we got deleted immediately.
That'll do it. But back in that era, you were better off just deleting it yourself right after you did all the setup.
Right.
Just save yourself some time, right? All right. To you, Joel. Will cryptocurrency become a major political issue by the next election?
I mean, it was this last election. You saw Trump coming to the crypto conferences and kind of begging for votes in front of there. You noticed that within the first 18 or so hours of being in office, he freed, a Ross Ulbricht who ran the Silk Road, which is not popular with his base at all. You saw how hard he's been pushing for crypto legislation. You saw how much he's talked about it. Clearly, this has been a crypto election. You saw Elizabeth Warren with her anti-crypto army thing. It's at the top of mind awareness for people. And I don't know if it's going to be as top of mind next time around, but it's definitely a big chunk of just like AI and data centers. It's going to be a big chunk of the political mind share for basically forever now.
All right, so let me flip it and say, will the evil intentions of the government towards crypto be an issue in the next election?
I think yes, but I also think that realistically, the time to stamp out crypto as a movement in the US, at least a legal one, I should say, was last time around. And now there's going to be a lot more, well, common sense, well, they shouldn't be this. A lot of that level of trying to overregulate it rather than the vigorous banning of previous administrations.
Yeah, that's probably true. I hope it's not true, but it's probably true. All right, Aaron, to you. Has government regulation slowed innovation in cryptocurrency?
I mean, in some ways it has, but in other ways it's actually accelerated it because I think if you look at what's going on in the privacy coin space, if you look at the way the government is pursuing crypto, they're pursuing crypto in a way where, we're getting either CBDCs or backdoor CBDCs. They're looking at ways of tokenizing assets, but in a way that can be confiscated, and they're keeping all of the third parties that crypto is, designed to displace. And as a result of that, people are looking at this and saying, hey, we need to innovate around this, because the opposite of this, top-down, transparent, controllable situation is privacy, which is why you now have, you have Zano and all of these other cryptocurrencies, Freedom Dollar, Dash, and Monero, and so forth. And this space is incredibly vibrant. There's constant innovation going on in terms of trying to stay ahead and make sure that the privacy is getting better and better. And there's a lot of work being done with wallets, whether it's Bitcoin.com wallet or Edge wallet or Cake wallet or others, to make it easier for people. So I think in that sense, the government regulation has caused innovation on the other side.
Do you think the privacy area can innovate faster than the problems that we're seeing?
So, I mean, I've come to the conclusion, I actually, at some point in 2018, I gave up voting and stopped voting altogether. And then I've realized that technocracy is accelerating so quickly, we actually need to gum up the works politically, because it's accelerating so quickly. Technocracy is accelerating faster than the privacy alternatives are growing. And so I think we need to do something to, throw some wrench in the gears and slow it down a bit.
Yeah, I'm a gum up the works guy too. Joel, how do you feel about voting? Are you a vote or not vote guy?
I'm a don't get attached to it, but vote, at least on the local side. And part of that is because I live in New Hampshire and I have seen my own personal freedom increase in the 13 years I've been here. We didn't have constitutional carry before. Now we do. Business taxes, both sides, have been lowered many different times. The interest and dividends tax actually disappeared. Education freedom has exploded over anything. There was a state inspection law for cars. That got eliminated entirely. It's not all sunshine and roses, but because of hardcore liberty people, as hardcore as me or more, getting actually elected into our legislature, you have been able to roll back tyranny in real time, and I've seen it. And part of that is because New Hampshire is the most representative legislature on the planet, as far as one representative per 3,200 people, I believe. And because of that, we can actually see, at least in some cases, significant progress on the statewide level for freedom. Now, does voting federally do anything? Or does voting locally in other states do anything? I'm much more skeptical about that.
Is that the Strait of New Hampshire that I mentioned earlier? Is that what you were talking about?
Yes, the Free Strait of New Hampshire, Habibi.
Yeah. Trump said he's going to open it, though, so that's good news. Or it might be
Well, he's going to open and close it, and then
Yeah.
he's going to open and close it, and then somehow we're going to owe $300 million for it for some reason.
Yeah, it's going to be the Free Strait of New Hampshire, but then it's going to have an environmental toll on it and a tariff, but then it'll be open. And
build a wall, make the people from Maine pay for it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I live in New Hampshire too, and there have been a lot of local wins, but the problem is that there's been a lot of ignoring what's going on federally. So I'll give you an example. Shortly before I moved here, the state was absolutely dead set against real ID. In fact, there was bipartisan support. It was a massive issue, and the Senate and the House came out and said this is unconstitutional. And now this year, not only do we have real ID, but they're using taxpayer money to make it digital. And I bring this up only to say that you can't ignore the federal government. So you may be the freest state, but if the federal government is marching on and accelerating technocracy, then you're just going to end up being the freest plantation in the slave colony. So at some point, we've got to figure out a way to gum up things in Washington, D.C.
Or leave Washington, D.C. But then
I
again,
agree.
a man can dream.
I agree with that. I'm all for independence, New Hampshire independence. That's a way forward.
Yeah. I was pro Florida exit until I realized who controls Florida, and then I realized it might actually get worse if we exited. So yeah, but and then I think Joel made the point of the representation level in New Hampshire, and I forget who said it, but they said the maximum amount of people that a government should represent or an elected official should represent is like 250. Well, yeah, one would be better, Joel, but like like even you in New Hampshire, you guys have like the best ratio, and it's still way too high, So yeah, lots of problems there. All right, back to you, Sal. Is cryptocurrency helping create a more decentralized world?
Oh, for sure, no doubt about it. I mean, that's sort of almost like by definition, right? But it's not even just in terms of like decentralization of money, but now that we're decentralizing all kinds of things, especially now with the tokenization of real world assets, stocks, bonds, equities, things like that. I think we're going to decentralize everything eventually, because in my opinion, if it can be tokenized, it will be tokenized. I think like everything one day will be tokenized, because why not? And that's going to like unleash the, excuse me, a flood of capital on the world. And that's just going to decentralize every market you can think of. Like it's going to provide so much liquidity. So there's going to be so much free flowing capital that every single market is going to become like highly decentralized.
But couldn't tokenization go either way? Like privacy with tokenization, good, but like isn't BlackRock wanting to tokenize everything, similar to how you to quote Aaron Day, who's on the show, similar to how you don't own your stocks and tokenize in that direction?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And that's why like you want something like you can tokenize on Zano right now, and Freedom Dollar is actually a tokenized stablecoin on the Zano blockchain. Firo is going to be rolling out Spark assets pretty soon, if they haven't already, and that's going to be like a very similar kind of thing. So yeah, definitely tokenize in a completely permissionless and unregulated fashion, because if you like tokenize your company through BlackRock, then I really don't think that's going to work out well for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, they want to tokenize our assets, not their assets. Right?
They want to tokenize us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you'll get your kidney tokenized by them. But yeah, so yeah, lots of scary stuff there. Let's hope it goes the privacy route. All right, Joel, to you. Has crypto moved beyond being a niche technology?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not quite there, but the fact that we have mainstream merchants accepting crypto payments, the fact that we have mainstream funds denominating things in that, the fact that we have things like Polymarket that are they're basically dominating political and world event narratives that are running on blockchain. The fact that we're that far already in such a .com bubble-ish speculative phase is pretty cool. It's in the next 5 years, I think we're going to see a good chunk of everything sort of running on these rails. And I think, hasten the day.
What's the next big step to get it more mainstream?
The actual user applications and everything have to just stop sucking. They just do, because no one uses them and they don't need to make them work and get users to make money. So they all suck. They're slow, they're expensive, or they're clunky, or no one knows how to self-custody their coins the right way without losing them all. And there's exploits out the ass and like all these things, because no one cares, because you buy the token, you could sell it and you make money off of it. And that's the primary use case. I would say kind of yesterday, semi today. But tomorrow, the use case will be using it for stuff. And that's the biggest barrier. If I were to say one technological thing I would change, I would make self-custody a lot easier. Right now, it's kind of an all or nothing thing, and it's not intuitive. I think that if there's a way to make a real good backup system, which I have plenty of ideas for, if anyone wants to hear me ramble for a long time on this, then I think once that's created, I think that we will be good to go.
Excellent. I like the optimism. All right, Aaron, to you. Is cryptocurrency the greatest challenge to government money?
I think privacy cryptocurrencies are the biggest challenge to government money, because if you look at what's going on right now, again, with the Genius Act, they're basically capturing $33 trillion worth of stablecoin transactions and putting it under the control of the government and KYC and all of that other stuff. So in that sense, it's not a threat. And what's happened is the Trump administration has done a very good job of capitalizing on the hype about cryptocurrency as a concept, only to then kind of use it as a Trojan horse to implement surveillance. But privacy really is the way out of this. And so if anything, I would say I am optimistic, even though it may sound like my answers aren't, only to say that we have to move a lot more quickly. We need to have a much greater sense of urgency than we have, because the noose is tightening very quickly with the Genius Act, and then if the Clarity Act passes.
So what's the next step to move more quickly?
Well, I mean, this is why I'm doing stuff like Ditch the Dollar. I mean, I think it's the stuff that everybody on here is doing, that Sal's doing, that Joel's been doing for forever, which is going out there and onboarding people and providing new tools and just starting to use it for day-to-day transactions. And that really is the key. You actually have to shift people's perception, because as Joel said, people need to start using for payments. That's all people used Bitcoin for originally. So in some cases, we've actually taken a step back. People need to realize that these are actual cryptocurrencies. This is what the actual use case is, which is why I put together Ditch the Dollar, which I won't go into all of it. I obviously did a podcast on it, but End the Fed is a dead concept in terms of it's not happening politically. There's been no movement on this. The Fed has only grown. But if you exit the dollar and you tell 3 other people, and then those 3 people tell 3 other people, you do 15 iterations of that, and you've ended the Fed. There's an actual pathway to do this through direct personal action, and there are some tools now that are easy enough to start getting onboarded.
Excellent. All right. Back to you, Sal. The category is central bank digital currencies, commonly known as CBDCs. Would a CBDC create the largest surveillance system in American history?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it were ever to go live, I think it would immediately be, like you said, the largest surveillance network in history. Right now, probably Flock is, but I think they have this. It's very sort of it's a very sort of backdoor push for the CBDC too, because technically they banned it, or the Federal Reserve is forbidden from creating one. But really, that's really what a lot of these stable coins are in and of themselves. They're really just, and we sort of already have it anyway, right? All of our dollars are digitalized anyway, so we're basically there. But for sure, if we ever had a true CBDC ever come into place, yeah, you're done, you're cooked. But I think we have to be careful and watch for a lot of these stable coins, because they're backdoor CBDCs. And I think Aaron Day has talked a lot about that to well effect.
Yeah, very true. Love Aaron's work on that for sure. All right, Joel, to you. Would programmable money fundamentally change freedom in America?
I would say yes. And I would say for the better. Depends on what you mean by programmable money. The thing about programmable money in a decentralized way, something that Ethereum really kicked off the ability to do, and other networks, of course, are doing better, is the ability to do stuff like recurring payments or auto invest in things, or all these financial services that if you are a person who lives all on cash, you can't do this. You have a much more limited sense of opportunity in life, because you can't do this without a bank, a custodian, someone who kind of takes your money for you and does this stuff. And programmable money lets you do that yourself. And in fact, I know a friend who's not only unbanked like me, but he doesn't have a birth certificate at all. He doesn't legally exist. He's the true undocumented person. And he doesn't have access to all like the 401k, IRA, whatever kind of financial services normal people do that I choose not to use, but I could theoretically. And so for him, crypto, being able to get into programmable money that lets him do stuff like that, actually have high level financial access, is a real game changer that makes him not just destined to the life of kind of like a day laborer.
All right. So what's the worst case scenario then?
Well, the worst case scenario is programmable money is it's permissioned money. That's the problem, right? If it can be programmed, that doesn't mean it's going to be programmed for evil. If it's permissioned, it means it always will be permissioned and gated for evil. And so it's the fact that at least programmability has some sort of basic rules by it. If you have something that has a centralized entity that just has the on-off switch, that's the real problem. And I do think that the programmability of money is mostly going to be used by good actors. But if you have, again, a centralized system like a CBDC or a centralized stablecoin that is forced to do things at the behest of the government, they can do things like place spending limits on you based on your credit score, or automatically computed threat score from your social media posts and stuff like that. All the stuff that's already happening in a non-programmatic way, it becomes more efficient. But I think it would be 20% risk, 80% upside if you just want to count just the concept of money that can be programmed.
How quickly would I lose access to my money if they find out I follow Sal on X?
Well, I mean, I think it's more, would there be a Sal to follow? That's the bigger thing. This guy flies a lot closer to the sun than you do, my friend.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We'd be eating iguanas in Florida. That's what we'd be on the street eating iguanas.
I'm like 2 steps away from eating iguanas in Florida.
If you ever need to hide out, man, I've got a spare room for you, man. Just come south.
He's gonna bring us 3D printed iguana spear.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. All right, Aaron, would a cashless society make political dissent more difficult?
I mean, this issue about cash, like the one thing that I have to say, and when I go back to saying ditch the dollar, ditching the dollar also includes ditching cash, because cash is a form of fiat, and fiat is what is used to fund war and tyranny around the world. So you can have a cashless situation where you're using privacy coins. I actually don't think cash is the alternative. I think that you need to be using alternative privacy coins that are completely separated from state or central banks.
Okay, that's fair. All right, back to you, Sal. The category is decentralized finance, also known as DeFi. Is DeFi a legitimate alternative to traditional banking?
Absolutely, of course. I mean, hell, anything is an alternative to robbery, right? Theft. What kind of banking product are you getting if you're inherently being robbed all the time? So yeah, absolutely. And also look at some of the you get a lot better deals in DeFi than you do in traditional financing. The crypto markets are young; they're still like growing, and it's despite the fact that like a lot of us have been here for 10, 15 years now, like we're still very early. So the industry itself has a lot of room to grow. And I think that's part of the reason why they're trying to wrangle in like a lot of these cryptocurrencies now, is because they're getting better yield than you can get at the bank. So the banks are trying to tamp down, and that's what a lot of the Clarity Act is about and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely, it's an alternative to traditional banking.
I agree. All right, Joel, to you. Is DeFi too risky for mainstream adoption?
Today, yes. And I would say almost overwhelmingly yes. We found something interesting in the last few months, especially when a lot of AI models got a lot better. The amount of crypto protocols that have been hacked and have millions lost have been just sky high. And some of this has been because, there's some actual exploits that were discovered that were kind of very hard to find. But a lot of it was because people had really terrible security. Two recent examples. One was there was a DAO essentially that got hacked because they used a one-of-one multi-sig type setup, meaning they just literally had one guy with a key to secure this entire vault. I mean, I'm glossing over details, but that's kind of what it was. It just would never stand in any kind of normal security practice. And then just recently, there was a Cardano wallet that got hacked. Essentially, keys to people's private keys that allow people to spend funds were sort of published openly. So no one had to hack it. It's just like saying, when you go into your house, you just drop your keys on your front door and be like, oh no, I got robbed. It's like, yeah, because every time you open your door, you literally drop your keys on your front step. That being said, in the next few years, I think it will be polished over and figured out to where it's not risky. The biggest risk mitigator that needs to happen, I think, is insurance, but more specifically micro insurance for DeFi actions, because otherwise you have to be able to reverse a transaction, sue someone, all this kind of centralized government crap. But if you can just say, look, I'm going to pay a certain fee to a protocol when I'm doing a DeFi action, and then I'm insured in case some catastrophic hack happens, I think that that's kind of the way forward. And there are a few projects, I'm surprised to know, that are actually doing this, but there needs to be more. It needs to be standard, and then we need to fix all the bugs. And then, yes, DeFi will be safe for everyone. But today, absolutely not.
All right. A little scary, but I agree with what you said there. All right, Aaron, to you. Will decentralized finance eventually challenge major banks?
I certainly hope so. I think that, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Clarity Act, because you have to really dig into the details of it. I mean, it claims to have some provisions that are pro DeFi, but when you dig into them, it's almost impossible to meet the requirements of being DeFi. So there's a whole kind of rat's nest that you have to deal with there. But certainly, in general, decentralized voluntary solutions certainly can be alternatives to banks, and that's certainly where you're going to get the innovation. But this is a speed issue. Once again, this is something where we really need to be moving more quickly, because I saw it today. Cynthia Loomis, who's been heavily involved with the Clarity Act, is out there touting the fact that, hey, soon you're going to be able to buy cryptocurrency and hold it at your bank. Well, that is the exact opposite reason that cryptocurrency was started. So the idea that you would now be using a third party to administer and be the custodian for your cryptocurrency is kind of absurd. And so I hope DeFi doesn't get kind of regulated out of existence.
That'd be great. All right. Enter your scores in the chat if you've not done so already. Let's jump back into the chat and see what's going on. Points to Sal for the sarcasm. Flock off. Anarchist Chefs here. What's up? Another subscriber. 200 to Sal. Voting is the opposite of effective. Anarcho Cat here. One of our favorite memers. Such a great guy.
Memes.
Yeah, absolutely great memer. Points to Sal. Voting is pointless. Points to Joel for reducing the size and scope of government. Points to Aaron for the absence of government. Points to Aaron for acknowledging corruption at all levels of government. Government will never shrink, no matter how many times you vote for them. Probably true. Voluntary rocks, I agree. Points to Aaron, teachers' unions are just election money laundering mechanisms. Yeah, and kind of a welfare program, too. Points to Sal for dissing credit. This is such an interesting show. I'm learning so much. 200 to everybody. Thanks, Amity. Points to Joel for the raw shout-out. YouTube chat's better than the X chat. I think the X chat's kind of shit the bed at this point. Ray's here. What's up, buddy? Another subscriber. And congratulations on winning chair of the Illinois Libertarian Party. Points to Joel for the don't be attached but vote. Points to Joel. I am right there with you, Joel. Local votes. What's up, Casey? Points to Aaron for acknowledging that we need to gum up things in DC. Yeah, throw something in the spokes of that thing for sure. Points to Aaron, freest slave state. Points to Sal, decentralized everything. Points to Joel for self-custody. Points to Aaron, privacy is the biggest challenge. Points to all the contestants. They are awesome. I'm listening while trying to get settled at home. Yeah, Casey's been driving across the country in an RV to go to all of our live shows with his kids. He's a stud. So appreciate you, brother. Points to Aaron, Ditch the Dollar. Make sure you go to ditchthedollar.com and get in on that. I love what you're doing there. Lemmy's here, another subscriber. Minus to Aaron for making me feel sad. Long live ending the Fed. Yeah, you took away our chant, man. We had one chant and you took it away.
Replace it with ditch the dollar. This was my speech at the LP convention. Just stop saying end the Fed, start saying ditch the dollar. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm saying change it and make it actionable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm trying to get people on it, but we've been saying end the Fed for like 100 years. But
I know.
Yeah. We're libertarians. We're not like slow to learn. We keep making the same mistakes over and over again. All right. Points to Sal for basically saying it's a backdoor surveillance. Papa B's here, another subscriber. I love all these guests and questions related to alternative currency. Points to me for setting this up. I appreciate that. Oh, but now I lost points to get me back to 0. So yeah, I'm back at 0. Points to Sal for eating iguanas. Points to Sal for stating Sal is closer to the sun. Points to Aaron, privacy coins for the win. Points to Sal, we're being robbed. 100 to each guest for speaking to ignorant people like me in relatable words. Keep it simple. Principle. Points to Sal if he comes down I-75 and grills some iguanas with us. I'm not eating iguanas, Amity. I'm not eating iguanas. But Sal's welcome at any time, of course. Points to Joel for making sense. Points to Joel for the honest answer. Points to Joel for the DeFi education. I always learn when you speak. Me too. Points to Aaron. Crypto to banks is netarded. Bronner's here. What's up, Bronner? 100 to anyone who says repeal 1913.
Repeal 1913.
There we go. All right. Oh, it's really close. Let's check the scores. Aaron in the lead, 45-50. Joel and Sal right behind. It's getting interesting. Let's move on. All right. Sal, to you. Category is borderless commerce. Is online commerce weakening the power of nation states?
I don't know about that. I guess maybe it could. It certainly could. But I think they've got it so highly regulated and tracked, and every transaction now it's the same way as a brick and mortar. In fact, you probably get away with more at a brick and mortar store at this point. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that. It could. That was sort of the hope of the internet, right? And it certainly has made things better. It's increased living standards. You're able to get stuff from other parts of the world that you normally wouldn't, but it's just as regulated as brick and mortar store or like a normal business is.
What about with like sanctions and the economic warfare they put on hundreds of countries?
Well, I mean, if they like, for example, like I can't go. Someone from North Korea can't buy something from agorathreads.com because then I'll go to prison if I sell it to them, right? So like it's a nice thought, but at the end of the day, the government is still going to put me in jail for doing that.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Joel, to you. Does borderless commerce increase individual freedom?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a big part of my life right now. I've been using crypto for 13 years or so. I've been living exclusively off it for 10 years. I've been working full time in it since that time in the industry. And there's people all over the world that you kind of do business with. And a lot of people, I have colleagues in Siberia, for example, and that's typically like a no-no in the old school world, but in the completely decentralized permissionless world, it's fine. And one of the things that's kind of interesting, there was some sort of promotional giveaway I did a few months ago, and it was a digital currency giveaway, but also a hardware wallet giveaway in one, which is a physical device. And the guy, one of the winners, he got the digital currency, just went right through and it was fine. But he couldn't get the hardware wallet because, as according to the company, they can't ship to Syria. I'm like, oh, there's some random dude in Syria who's here online participating in this whole thing. With crypto, it does not matter because it's just a freedom-loving, fun, cool dude. And therefore, with digital money, it doesn't matter, decentralized digital money. But then when you have to actually give a shipping address and you're like, Syria, it's like, oh, never mind, we can't do that.
Yeah, that's true. That's why you got to do the no KYC things, right?
Mhm.
All right. Aaron, you. Are governments struggling to regulate the digital economy?
Well, they're not struggling enough. No, I mean, I think they are to a certain degree, but if you look at Agenda 2030 and if you look at what the game plan has been for technocracy for a long time, they're moving at it at a very quick pace. So if you look at the number of CBDC projects around the world, the number of digital ID projects, what's going on with stable coins, and again, it's probably the least talked about thing, but should be. I'm telling you that the Clarity Act is the biggest surveillance bill in the history of the United States, and it has implications globally for commerce. So they are certainly moving at it feverishly, and unfortunately, there isn't a lot of friction stopping it. Because the public is generally unaware because of how complicated the bills are and because of how much propaganda and lobbying money goes into promoting them.
Yeah. Sad but true. All right. Sal, back to you. The category is exit strategies and exiting the system. Can Americans realistically reduce their dependence on government?
Absolutely, 100%. That's sort of that's kind of what my whole point of my show is about, is to try to give people practical solutions that they can create more freedom in their life and reduce dependence on the pedophile class. So that's why I tell people to use Zano and Firo and Edge, Freedom Dollar, Cake Wallets, Pirate Chain Dash. Use the Dash wallet. Use all of these tools that exist for you. You get the ZBEC card. Get yourself like NIM or Melee VPN or something like that, because the tools are out there for us to use. We just have to learn how to use them and show other people how to use them. And I think the key here is to actually like living free ourselves so that we can go out and show other people like, hey, like, look what I'm doing. It works for me. It can work for you. You know what I mean? And I think that's what Aaron and Joel do so well also.
Yeah, no. This is the badasses of that space. That's like I said, so excited we're doing this show. So, all right, Joel, to you. Is moving to a state that shares your values a legitimate political strategy?
Yes, I would say absolutely. That's the number two thing you should do after doing decentralized tech. One thing is, first of all, there are strength in numbers, and the Free State Project in New Hampshire, of which I proudly gave up everything and drove across the country to participate in 13 years ago, that is kind of a testament to what can actually happen when you do this, when you concentrate in an area. And other than that, I think it's also started off a trend, but maybe the trend was already happening with remote work and other things, where people can move and pick their jurisdiction based on a bunch of things, whereas before you're kind of stuck where you live, where you started, or where the job opportunities are. But now there's people doing digital nomad stuff. There's people moving across states everywhere. I think that's one of the reasons why you have like places like California and New York getting bluer and bluer and worse, is because now the people that don't like it can just leave and go to like Texas and Florida and New Hampshire and great places like that. It's funny enough creating almost a free market in government in a limited kind of way. So as you do this, not only one, are you more effective and happier, but two, you're creating a marketplace where governments will now compete for which one is only truly awful and not exponentially awful.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Florida and stuff, because my only problem with the Free State Project is y'all are cold up there. That's really cold. Me and Sal and
listen,
Amity and Terry.
I gotta chime in on that. It's only cold for like bitches. It's like not that bad.
You can't shovel sunshine.
My man, you can't walk a quarter mile to get tacos. You can be quiet there for a second. But the point is, like New Hampshire is as cold / hot or within 5 degrees of, I think, 24 U.S. states. So the average American has New Hampshire weather or colder, pretty much. It's not that bad, especially in the south of the state.
I thought you were going to say it's only cold like 11 months a year. I thought that's where you're going with that.
Listen, I moved from Phoenix, okay? So I know the other side of things, and I was miserable there. Here, I think it has perfect weather 9 months out of the year. Different kinds of perfect.
You have to come visit us, man. You have to come hang out down here, bro.
Florida's not
Yeah.
bad.
Sunshine.
There is a direct flight from the tiny airport to your area, so I will have to come out at some point.
Let's go.
You're always welcome. We're doing iguana tacos apparently, so come down for that. You know. All right, Aaron, to you. Is opting out becoming more effective than fighting from within?
I think it's definitely more effective. I think it's the only way out. I mean, at this point, you're not going to reform the federal government. There's no opportunity for that. We are kind of well beyond that. And if anything, if you look at it, we're in a state of rapid decline. There's a report out by the government that basically showed that the purchasing power of the dollar dropped by 26% since 2020. But then Brownstone came out with a different analysis because as we know, government statistics are all lies, and purchasing power has actually declined 50% just since 2020. Like, we are in a gigantic state of collapse. So opting out is the way to go. We have to build parallel systems. But what I've kind of learned I've come back to this idea over the last, primarily because of these crypto prisoners, actually, is why I got back into this, which is because the best people that we have at promoting peer-to-peer alternatives and privacy have been thrown in prison or awaiting sentencing. So we're talking about Ian Freeman, and of course Roger Ver was a big one. We have Keone Rodriguez and William Hill with the Samurai Wallet. We have Roman Storm, who's facing 40 years, Roman Sterlingoff. And so we have to get involved politically to help, rescue our prisoners of war from the terrorist organization that is the government that's holding them hostage. And we also need to gum up the works. And so I think that opting out is necessary, but we also need to figure out how to delay the existing system before technocracy consumes us all.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking for, I got it right here. You can sign Ian's petition if you go to freeiannow.org. And I don't think I see the other ones, but what's the Keone one? Do you know it off the top of your head?
It's billandkeone.com. If you go to day 2026, if you go to my campaign thing, there's a tab for prisoners, and it lists 7 of the prisoners. And if they have websites or petitions or other things, all of the links are there. The biggest one I think that we should push right now, we should push all of them and absolutely support all of them. And I hope they all get pardoned on July the 4th when Trump is allegedly going to be pardoning 250 people. But Roman Storm faces the worst situation. He is facing now 45 years in prison. He had one trial in the Southern District of New York, and he was convicted on 2 lesser charges, deadlocked on 2 others. And then the government decided to retry on those 2 deadlocked charges. And so he's had to spend like $10 million in legal fees. Now he has to do the whole thing again. So he needs help. And if anybody out there can provide some financial support, he needs it. And so he's at freeromanstorm.com.
Was he the one that they convicted him with the black box algorithm that analyzed the software?
That's Roman Sterlingoff.
Okay.
And this is Chainalysis. And yeah, so he was convicted. He actually wasn't even behind Bitcoin Fog, which was another mixing service. They actually didn't prove that he was even behind it. And then they used Chainalysis to claim that this is, here's how we prove this, but it's a black box. The methodology of Chainalysis has never been proven. And in the court, in the trial, they were unable to even dig in under the hood and test the assumptions that Chainalysis were made. Like, if there's a whole long story, I won't go into all of it, but the impact of all of these cases and the Sterlingoff cases that now Chainalysis, which is unproven because it was used to secure this conviction, because Sterlingoff was convicted and sentenced to 12.5 years. He's been in for 6.5 already. This means that we're all open to the whims of Chainalysis and can't question the methodology.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point, that they're using the technology not only to track us, but they're also using it to arrest people and then convict people. And it's, like similar to like how Dexter Taylor wasn't allowed to bring in the Second Amendment to his trial, like they're not even allowed to analyze the technology and the supposed evidence that's convicting these people. And so, I mean, you all should be extremely scared of every part of this and speaking out about it. So appreciate you adding that on. All right. Back to you, Sal. The category is freedom technology. Are centralized technology platforms incompatible with a free society?
Yes, but first I just want to tack on to what Aaron was saying because also the other one too, that the other big one, because he mentioned Roman Storm, but also his partner Alexei Pertsev, with whom they created Tornado Cash. He's on trial in the Netherlands, and the reason why that one is so important is because basically you can't do DeFi development in the United States anymore. It's just too risky. They're going to put you in jail. So if Alexei is successful in the Netherlands, then at least DeFi developers will have somewhere to flee to do work and to continue innovating and building out that whole ecosystem. So that's another really important case too. I mean, they're all really important in general, but and also the thing about chain analysis is so true, because chain analysis is really just guesswork. So the fact that like they're using this, they've convinced juries and judges that this is concrete is really just a whole sack of shit, to be honest with you. So and like you said, if the fact that you can't even bring it up to like in court, how can you mount a defense of yourself if you're not even allowed to make these arguments in the first place? And yeah, like Dexter Taylor was like the most egregious example, but
let me go back to the question too, but also I want to point out, like, there was the famous case of the grandma that spent a couple months in jail because she was, wrongly identified by facial recognition software. So if you take something like that and then, you apply it to like chain analysis, like, so there's errors in facial recognition software that are putting people in jail. Just imagine the bad stuff they could do with like chain analysis and, the other black box tools they're using to go after these developers with.
Good people are going to jail on bad heuristics, and that's why it's so important to completely to make your life as private as possible. Because even if like, let's say that you're by the book, you're straight edge, if they want to develop a narrative against you and all of your transaction history, your emails, everything, your text messages is all visible to them, it's all easily accessible, they can create a narrative, right? And if it's whether you're guilty or not is irrelevant. If they want you to be guilty, you will be. So the answer to that problem is to make your life as completely anonymous as possible. Don't even give them access to this data to construct that narrative against you with. So that's why we use like privacy coins and VPNs and mixed nets and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we're a little bit crazy and conspiratorial, but there's a reason why,
Yeah, I'd like to add to that whole nothing to hide type fallacy. It's not so much that you are just, I have nothing to hide, I want to put it out there. Every single bit of data about your life is being gathered and used against you, against other people, against just all kinds of things. There's a lot of intimidation factor of people being like, well, I'm just a normal person, I don't know how to use privacy tech, and thinking you have to go to a completely dark ninja like overnight. Like it doesn't matter if the government still knows who you are and where you live and all the other stuff. It doesn't matter that much if you can just deny any bit of data you can from them. Any kind of concrete thing that they have. Anytime, if your trip to the grocery store, if that's all you could keep location tracking off of, but they track you the rest of the time, take that piece of data from them. Take everything about which websites did you go to on this day. What if they still track that you bought that gold-plated AK and took it out on the show? Okay, well, but just because you can't stop that doesn't mean you shouldn't take away every bit of data you can and build from there. Because these kinds of surveillance states and oppressions are built from aggregate vast swaths of data. And the more total data you take away from their control, that you never consented to giving, the better we are, the weaker their ability is to trample us as a society as a whole.
100%. And here's the website again, freeromanstorm.com. Help any way you can, any financial support. You know, the number one way they go after these people is with lawfare, and lawfare is expensive. So if you can help out, that's a great way to do it. So, all right, let's go back to the questions. Sal, to you, category is freedom technology. Are centralized technology platforms incompatible with a free society?
I don't know about incompatible. I think like Facebook is highly centralized, but I think people should be able, they should have the freedom to go on Facebook and use it. I mean, I personally prefer decentralized models to centralized systems, but I don't know if they're incompatible. I wouldn't say they're incompatible. Sometimes, you know, a degree of centralization is nice, not like in the sense of like, you know, centralization in the hands of a government, but you know, for like a company or a business that you're running, sometimes you need to take control and make, you know, you need to have a strong executive in place for things like that. So I'm not sure if they're incompatible, but you know, I do prefer decentralized models.
Excellent. I agree. All right, Joel, to you, should consumers actively avoid products that harvest excessive data?
Yes, absolutely. And I have to say what privacy isn't the absence of information disclosure, it's consent. It's I have no privacy right now on this show. I'm telling you my name, where to find me, what I look like. I'm sharing all my private opinions. That's because I consent. I want to share this in this case. But I don't want my home location, the face of whoever bought that giant stack of Chick-fil-A sandwiches and ate it all in the car. I don't want that to be everyone's business. So absolutely, I think that we need to take that back. A lot of it is just through consumer choices, and it does work. You've noticed that Apple is actively advertising privacy, saying Apple means privacy, and you have all these companies that are running off of the prospect of giving you better privacy. In some ways, there is a market demand and a move towards that. I think if people want to take your own personal data against your consent, non-consensually, they want to snatch it from you and sell it and empower big governments, screw them, bankrupt them.
You said you wouldn't bring up me eating all the Chick-fil-A, so minus
No, that was
100
me I was
points
talking about.
Oh, that was you? Okay, I thought you were.
Yeah, I was wearing
me.
a mask that your mask face mask.
I thought you were shaming me. You know, Sal's been on me about my diet, so I thought you were shaming me about that.
Get on him about his cardio.
All right, Aaron, to you. Is open source software essential for digital freedom?
I think absolutely at this point. I mean, you know, and particularly with what we're seeing now with AI. I mean, it's really critical that we're using software where you can actually see what's going on and test it and you know, identify and plug any security issues that might exist.
Definitely. All right, back to you, Sal. The category is health freedom. Did public health authorities gain too much power in recent years?
Oh, for sure. First of all, I dispute the term public health because I don't think there is such thing as public health. There's only individual health. Public health is a term made up by statists and bureaucrats who have an interest in that field, an economic interest in that field. But absolutely, I mean, look what they did. I mean, they literally shut down the whole economy. They put infants in muzzles. They forcibly injected people with experimental mRNA. They shoved Q-tips up people's brains. I mean, it was like insane. It was insane. They were bribing people in New York City. I mean, with like fries and cheeseburgers to get these, you know, these experimental shots. There was tanks and men with guns on the street in New York City. It was absolutely awful. They ruined businesses, ruined livelihoods. People were not to see dying relatives. And that's sort of the danger of this whole concept of public health. Like, who the fuck are these people to tell you or I what medicine we should take? I mean, the whole concept is absurd. So, like, I don't know, the idea that, you know, we should have like a group of people just in general to tell us these things, to me, it just makes no sense. It's craziness. But then to select the worst of the worst people and then give them this power. And then, of course, like Tony Fauci gets his preemptive pardon. which I've never heard of a preemptive pardon before. I'm not even sure that it's actually like constitutional, but they basically committed genocide. Look what Andrew Cuomo did in New York State. I mean, he murdered like tens of thousands of people. I mean, it was so bad, and that's why we have to like get rid of this whole concept of public health, abolish the CDC, go back and put these people. We need Nuremberg 2.0 still for what happened like during the scamdemic, because that's all it really was. It wasn't actually like this big like pandemic. It was a scamdemic, and it was basically to usher in a new level of inflation and bigger government and total control over our lives.
I think a preemptive pardon's only constitutional if it's signed with an auto pen. I think that's what I think I heard that on.
20-year-old intern with like a septum piercing and pink hair.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a side note that the first preemptive pardon was actually of Richard Nixon. So there is a case study. They're rare. I believe Roger Stone or somebody else might have also received. They're rare, but they are. There is a precedent for them.
Yeah, they were rare before the Biden administration, I think is. Yeah. All right, Joel, to you. Should individuals have the final say over their own medical decisions?
The only say. I don't know why anyone else should have say over this. And it's something that the medical industry in the US is one of the only non-governmental, in name only, I guess, industries where you have the sense of being owned by someone else. Maybe there's others that don't come to the top of my mind, but just like when you go to interact with the police, if you go through airport security, if you do those kinds of things, you have government officials saying you're treating you like cattle, telling you what you can't do. With the medical industry, it's kind of similar in some ways, where you get bullied into health decisions, you get threatened to have people call CPS on your kids if you don't want to give them vaccines and stuff. You have people actively saying they won't treat your kids, that no pediatrician in their area will take them if they don't have all the vaccines that have been prescribed. There's constant kind of things like that. There's no free market. You cannot just open a hospital in a lot of places. You have to prove to the government that you're not competing with other hospitals. It's one of the most captured and evil kinds of institutions. It's unfortunately indispensable to human health and existence at the same time. It's really messed up. And it's very telling that since 2020 or so, the largely secular left side of the aisle, the Democratic Party, let's just say, has sort of used the hospital as their temple, their holy temple. And the doctors are priests and they worship them. And it's their rights are doing, taking community, the body of Fauci, boom. And then there you go. You're kind of in thing. So it's become really kind of messed up. We need a massive overhaul of the medical system, a massive deregulation for sure.
Totally agree. All right, Aaron, to you. Are Americans justified in distrusting public health institutions?
Yes, and they have been basically since inception. I actually refer to public health as a death cult. And I actually spent a lot of time studying public health. I had a healthcare company that I started in 2004 that was destroyed by Obamacare and Dodd-Frank and the AG, and that's a separate story for a separate day. But I actually got to spend a lot of time in this sector in a variety of different contexts. And if you go back and look at things like, for instance, the obesity epidemic was largely created by the USDA food pyramid. And you can even see the kind of an animated map that shows the release of the food pyramid and then the growth of obesity, because, it puts, 11 to 15 servings of carbs at the bottom. The whole thing is ridiculous. And it was based on a lie by this guy, Ansel Keys, who fabricated data about heart disease. Like the whole thing is a scam. But that's one example of public health outside of, we don't need to just look at what happened with COVID and Fauci and the vaccines. This has been an ongoing threat. The whole situation with people being prescribed SSRIs and depression medication, that's another fabrication of public health. So public health gets together and they put together their list. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember when it was, maybe 1999, depression became the #1 global public health epidemic. And then once that was declared, then you see the increase in the usage of these drugs, which is turning out to be quite an epidemic in its own right.
All right. Last 3 questions of the night. Let's see here. Back to you, Sal. Category is parallel institutions. Should Americans build alternatives instead of trying to reform failing institutions?
This is the only way. Yes, yes, and yes. This is honestly, in my opinion, this is the only way that we win. We have to build a parallel economy. We have to build alternatives to them. It's a little bit more than that. Per Byland, who is an economist, he works with Mises. I think he's over at Oklahoma State University still. He has a great article that he wrote literally 20 years ago for Lou Rockwell's blog about this topic, and it's called A Strategy for Pushing Back. And I highly recommend everybody reads it. And it's Per Byland, Perbyland. And basically what he says is that there's two parts to this. You have to create basically decentralized production facilities, right? And like think of something like a blockchain miner is creating a sort of decentralized production facility. Same thing with a 3D printer is a decentralized production facility, or maybe even like a garden or something like that. And what he says in the article is that if you take something like that and you combine it with peer-to-peer permissionless trade, voluntary trade, then you have this really powerful weapon of disruption. And I think that's what agorism is about. That's what counter economics is about. That's what we're trying to do in cryptocurrency and with all the different things that we're talking about, because at the end of the day, the politicians, they don't really care what you vote about. It doesn't matter. You can vote in all your favorite politicians. Even if you do get your favorite politician elected, it's not going to matter. And even if it does matter, it's not going to matter for long. Because at the end of the day, like the state just always pushes forward, and eventually, like it's gonna get worse and worse as they sort of spiral into this inflationary collapse. They're going to get more restrictive and more oppressive and more desperate, sort of like a fish flailing out of water. So, not only is it important that we create alternatives for a more free and just society, it's also important that we do it for ourselves, right? We have to live free today, so you have to find those alternatives that allow you to live free from them. So like cryptocurrency is an alternative to their, fiat currency, or 3D printers maybe is an alternative to their gun laws or something like that, or, your garden or your ranch, or maybe even just trading permissionlessly with a local rancher or farmer is sort of your alternative to that food pyramid and all those terrible recommendations and all those bureaucrats. So yeah, absolutely. It's the only way. And it's really important to just find individual freedom as well.
Yeah, I like that. I wish more people would talk about micro manufacturing, because that would be a huge boom to a lot of local economies, and that would be a good thing. So, all right, Joel, to you. Should communities invest in their own schools, media, and financial systems?
Depends on what you mean by communities, but I think that we should invest in our own of all of the above. And I would say if you think the community level is sort of either a peer-to-peer or it's a voluntary collective way of doing things, then yes, absolutely. But I think that we're seeing a lot of that happen. Obviously, the homeschool and alternative education boom. Obviously, the media is dead. I mean, as obvious this show probably gets more viewers than CNN these days. Like, we get to just sort of do our own. And then anyone can copy and paste code and create their own currency right now. And it doesn't mean it'll work out, but it can. So I think we're already kind of doing that. The whole make a free market for everything is the one way we get out of this. And honestly, as much as I think, sometimes you can vote and it does good things, I think you can never vote yourself out of the problem as a whole. I think the only way you can get out of it is by out competing the government, even though you have to pay two things at the same time. You have to pay taxes to go to government schools, and you have to somehow pay for private school or homeschooling at the same time to do the side by side, to then end up being able to obsolete and get rid of the government option. But you need to do your own version first.
Definitely agree with that. All right, Aaron, to you. Are parallel institutions America's next civic movement?
I certainly hope so. And I don't think that it's confined just to America either. But this is certainly something that we need. And I'll give you an example of this is to shill another one of the sites that I put together, osara.com. We were talking about public health. Our healthcare system is a disaster. It's the most expensive healthcare system in the world. And contrary to political propaganda, it is not the best by a long shot. It's ranked 38th. And every minute in America, someone files for medical bankruptcy. 75% of those are actually insured. So this isn't a situation where it's just somebody that doesn't have insurance is filing for bankruptcy. These are largely people that have insurance and own homes. And so it simply doesn't work. The system is absolutely a sham. So as an example of a parallel institution, we created this thing, OSARA. It's in its early stages, but medical tourism is a highly valuable alternative to the existing healthcare system. You can travel overseas, and even with the transportation costs, save 60 to 80% on the cost of medical care versus the United States, and get better health outcomes. And I'm not talking about just plastic surgery or some of these things around the periphery. I'm talking about complex heart bypass surgery. And in many cases, there are treatments that you can get for cancer or other conditions that you can't even get in the United States because of the FDA. So this is something people are largely unaware of, but usually the biggest traps in America are, one, the money, and then two, the healthcare system, because we live in a society where people have jobs they don't like for insurance that doesn't actually keep them healthy when they need it, or actually protect them when they need it, so that they can stay in these jobs that they hate and build investment funds in stocks and that they don't own the stock certificates, and where the companies are actually building their own digital prison. So this is essentially where we're at now in America, and there are parallel solutions for all of these things.
Sad but true. All right, enter your scores in the chat one last time. Tell us what you thought of the show. Tell us who you think won. Let's jump into the chat one more time here. All right, I'm getting crap about this. All right, if you can eat Chicago-style pizza, you can eat iguana. Chicago-style pizza is the absolute best, chef, so eat it. 200 to Sal for the Xano hat. 200 to Joel for working across borders. 100 to Aaron for mentioning Agenda 2030 and the technocrats. Yeah, we got to talk more about the technocrats and how bad they are. Points to Sal for pimping agorism. Points to Joel for being Superman's dad. You get that every time. I think that's a given for you.
Listen, originality is not libertarian strong suit. Let's just say that.
That's true. That's true. Chicken of the trees is delicious. All right, we're talking about iguanas again. 200 to Sal. I'm trying to opt out where I can. Go for it, man. Minus 13 to Joel for trying to convince us Floridians that New Hampshire isn't that cold. It didn't work on me. Did not work on me. 200 to Aaron. There's no reforming the federal government. New Hampshire summers are better than Virginia summers. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I have lived in Virginia, and I can attest. Yeah.
Okay. Florida's better than New Hampshire. I'm on with this one. 100 to Aaron. Opting out is the way. 200 to Aaron. Build parallel systems. Free Dexter Taylor. 100 to Sal for bringing him up. Yeah, free Dexter Taylor. Jim Lee's here. What's up? Sorry you're late. 200 for the first one to plug Noster. Any of you guys on Noster? I'm on Noster. I'm on Noster.
Yeah, sort of.
Hi, Terry. 100 to Terry for keeping it all together. She's a rock star. True story. Points to Sal, no public health. Points to Sal, FTGs. Points to Sal, you want a donut? Take the jab. Americans are like, I like donuts. Yeah, that was a sad moment for us. I've been saying scandemic since day one. Points to Sal. Points to Joel for deregulating the health systems. Points to Aaron, public health is a death cult. Mad Dog's here. What's up? Points to Sal for not looking like his PFP. I think there's a resemblance. Yeah, I think there's a little resemblance. Points to Sal. I do love me some agorism. Let's check the scores one last time. And Aaron pulls out his first win, 85-50. It was close. Sal was right there. Joel was right there.
Wait. Can I nuke him?
No, because you're on the show.
I got nuked last time. I'd like to nuke one time.
Listen, I'm going to have to next time. I'm going to conspire with other previous guests of the show who can watch. I will compensate you monetarily in freedom money, just hit me up on X. That's where I'm most active, and I will be around for you. I will bribe you to butcher my next couple of guests right as we get close to ending, because I desperately need a win in here. I mean, it's like the third time.
I thought you won. I thought you won before.
You beat me last time.
Yeah.
Did I? Maybe the first time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
just beat Aaron.
But then I got tired of winning, and you know how that works.
there's so much winning. We're doing too much winning. Yeah.
And this thing they're doing, they're winning there all the time. I don't know how they do it.
All right, Joel, you came in third. You've won before. What did you think of the show tonight?
I thought it was good. But also I'm biased because I know the two other folks here and get to torment them on the show. So it's always funner with, friends. And and it's also good to get a little fired up about these things. I think that we're at a spot where we can really make a difference in the world. So anyway, kudos to you for having us on constantly and getting libertarians to actually understand and care about something that matters instead of just fighting over trivialities, that's a heroic task. So salute to you guys.
Appreciate that. And promote, I screwed up your slide. So promote what you want to promote and tell people where to find you and everything.
Yes. So find me on X at the Desert Links. That's the best way. I do a podcast as well. Some of these fine gentlemen have been on it as well. And start trying to live on crypto before it's too late. In my bio is pinned an article about how to privately live on crypto. You can start there. It's a pretty comprehensive guide. Other than that, I'm an open book. Do something for your freedom, and you can just ask me, ping me, hey, tell me one thing to do, and I'll help you out.
Yeah, you're good like that. I appreciate that. And so find Joel on X at the Desert Links, and all the other stuff is right there. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. Second place was Sal. What'd you think, man?
Dude, always a blast. I love the show. I love the format. Always a good time. And especially like Joel said, when you have you do it with your friends like Aaron and Joel and you, it's even more fun. I am disappointed that this is my first L on the show as a reigning champ. For me to lose the title hurts, but if it's going to go to anybody, I'm glad it went to Aaron.
Tell everybody what you're up to.
Sal and Mark every Wednesday, 7 to 9:30 is a live stream. We're on X. It's a show about agorism and solutions, not about politics or anything like that. And we always try to go in depth on some agorist topic. Like last week, we did decentralized identities. We've talked about flock cameras, and we've even talked about 3D printed drones and aircraft devices with 3D printers. So we do some fun stuff, and it's a good time. Other than that, like I said, we will have some bigger announcements coming up in the near future. But right now, just keep your eyes on the show. And also agorathreads.com, libertarian merchandise and apparel, 3D printer go burr for 3D printers and 3D printing supplies. And my website is salviagris.com. I'm on all the different social media platforms. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Snap. I think I've been kicked off of everywhere else. So that's it.
Yeah, that happens to us. Check out Sal on X at Sally Mayweather. All the other information is there as well. And I think you're a great account, and you do so much to support the memers. When I have a lot of the memer friends, Anarcho Cat was in here tonight. We have so many great memers. So appreciate you doing all that. Yeah. So thanks for doing this. Aaron, you came back on and you won. You actually were the one that called for the rematch against Joel. So how are you feeling?
I mean, I feel great. I mean, it's always great to be on with Joel and with Sal. And actually, I think we're all going to be in Amsterdam together here in a couple of months. But I love this format, and I love that you put this together, because I think this is a great opportunity to get snippets of content and introduce a lot of different concepts in a entertaining fashion. So I really want to extend appreciation for you for doing this, because I think this is a great platform for the liberty movement and for getting these ideas across.
Thanks so much. I mean, this was a huge thrill for me. Writing for you guys was like writing a song for Led Zeppelin or something. I mean, this was just the absolute best. I told you guys before the show, I think I started off with 24 pages of notes of all the different ways we could go. I mean, you guys are such a wealth of knowledge. And so this was a huge thrill for me. And check out Aaron on X at Aaron R. Day. all of his websites. I mean, he's got like a million of them. But the best is, check out Ditch the Dollar, check out daylightfreedom.org, check out the new phone he's got going on, check out his show. You're doing so much excellent stuff, and all you guys are doing so much excellent stuff. Really appreciate you guys. I mean, you're the best of the best. This is awesome. So one last time, let's go to Terry. What'd you think?
Oh, I loved it. Always learn a lot from these guys. They're some of my absolute favorites to actually pay attention to. I feel like I learn from them on a regular basis, just going to their X profiles and reading what they're talking about and going on. And Aaron, I got my Ditch the Dollar certificate this morning.
Oh, awesome.
I know.
That's great.
I'm not going to spout out my number though, but I have my number. And great job tonight.
Thank you.
You guys did awesome, and I know that I will love going back through these shorts and making sure that the word gets out.
Thank you. And this was sponsored by Xano. Your privacy matters. Choose Xano, the leading blockchain platform that prioritizes confidentiality and security. And if you're new to the space, go to intro.xano.org. Thanks again to all of our subscribers. You make this show happen. You can subscribe on X, or you can sponsor us by emailing studio@freedomuncut.com. I need to get all the sponsors that Sal has. I need to work on that. And we will be at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas, July 8th through 11th. freedomfest.com. Use the discount code SPIKE100. And Midwest Peace and Liberty Festival in Michigan, August 6th through 9th, mplfest.org. And I just want to shout out one more time. Let's get the crypto prisoners freed. We talked a lot about Ian tonight. Visit freeiannow.org. And Aaron has the rest of them on his website. So go to Aaron's website for those. And like I said, absolute thrill. You guys are the best of the best. Appreciate you all. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Sorry it was glitching on y'all. I appreciate you sticking it out and had a great time tonight. And we're off until Freedom Fest. So we're taking next week off for the 4th of July, but we'll be live from Freedom Fest. So look for the time and date on that. It's Friday night. It's late Eastern time, but stay up and have fun with us. We should have some cool guests. We haven't revealed them yet, but that'll be a good time. And if you're at Freedom Fest, come say hi to us. Terry's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Sal's going to be there. Andy's going to be there. Casey's going to be there. A lot of great people, a lot of friends going to be there. So see y'all then, and be safe over the holidays. Peace out, y'all.